playing 1-2 at Rounders
One,
in San
two
Antonio.
rounders in San Antonio. I don't know if I've played there, but I've been inside there. My wife and I took a couple of trips to San Antonio. I know I played that. Was it SA where the Big O games are? SA Card House? Is that right?
They run quite a few Big O games actually. There's one the other last Sunday. They ran a Big O game that lasted. They broke all the no limit games, and
Mm-hmm.
Big O was the only one running for a
Oh,
while.
okay. Okay. So this is a match the stack, or is there a cap here at rounders?
Uh, there's a 75% match.
Oh, nice, nice, and a time, right? Like $10 an hour.
Yep, 12.
A 12. But even still, it's just great because you can actually beat a 1-2 game. You can't do that in California.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah.
We're playing 1700 effective, seven-handed.
So 1700 effective, and then what is the normal open size here? By the way, straight
The
open.
normal open is 20.
Yeah. So that's how you can sort of equate sort of the game size is that first open size. So this plays like a big 5-5 almost. Now, if
Yeah,
you wanted to, and this is really where it kind of demonstrates, you could play super tight and just print money, right? Because if someone's opening the 10x as a normal open size, you can just best hand people and play 5% of your hands. You'll win, but my contention is you will not win the as much as you could by getting involved. Not crazy getting involved, but just playing more than 5% of hands, right? So okay,
we're playing seven-handed this time,
okay.
and there's a $5 live Hard Rock.
So $5 rock, okay, which is what the winner
Yep.
puts out a straddle. So it's like 1-2-5, right?
It's basically the way it goes. It skips the blinds. It starts off under the gun, goes through the blinds, and then
Mhm.
it comes back to the button.
But the rock, anyone who it's the winner of the last pot, right? Has the rock.
No, it's still a normal dealer button. That's just the dealer puts $5 on it,
Oh,
and it
okay. So it's a
skips
button
them.
straddle, ultimate button
Yeah.
straddle. Okay, ultimate last
Yes.
action button straddle. Okay,
Yes.
all right,
Unless there's a double raise, unless it's three bet
got it.
before him.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, so all right, so 1-2-5 on the button. Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So action goes two callers to the $5 straddle in early position. The villain's in the low jack. He raises to 30. Hijack calls the 30. Button calls the 30. Or excuse me, the button just skips the button. I look down at Ace of Diamonds, Queen of Hearts in the small blind, and I just call.
And that's your first action,
Um,
right? You haven't done anything yet. That's the first time you have to
right.
act, right? Okay.
Oh, okay.
So hijack, excuse me, so two callers, low jack makes it 30, hijack calls hero in the small blind with ace queen off, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Big blind calls for 30.
So you call?
Uh, I I called in
Mm-hmm.
the small blind.
Okay. Big blind calls. Yep.
Uh, Big blind calls. The early position limper's folded,
Okay.
and the button calls.
All right. So let's go over this real quick because it's this whole thing. So low jack makes it 30, hijack calls, you call, big blind calls, the two limpers fold. So the low jack and the hijack are in there too, right? Low jack and
Yeah, as
hijack.
well as the button.
Right, right. So 30 call, call, call. So it's five ways or six ways?
Uh, five ways, I believe.
Five ways. All right. So
One,
first off, right
two.
off the bat, and I remember telling you this because you were an alternate caller, is that I would squeeze here all day, right? Low jack makes it. You've
Yeah,
got two upfront limbs. Low jack makes it 30. Hijack calls, flips through past the button, and you've got ace queen off in the small blind. I mean, such an overlay here. Drive the limpers out. You've got a dead flat call in between. I know sometimes people play, are a little bit cautious or maybe they're not super comfortable playing pre-flop like this, but the way that these guys VPip in Texas, man, you just got to go like 175 here. I mean, I think you're giving up way too
yeah,
much value. Also, you have that extra little crinkle that the button's going to act last. So if you call the big blind calls, one of the limper calls, the button's always going to get a price coming back around, right? To complete.
right.
Yeah. So another reason to three bet here in the small blind. But okay, so we get here and it's five ways, 150. Okay.
Yeah, I had 160 in the pot, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
Um, so flop comes out. Queen of diamonds, three of diamonds, nine of clubs.
Queen of diamonds, three of diamonds, nine of clubs. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
It checks over. I check it. Big blind checks.
Mm-hmm.
Villain bets 40.
So low jack bets 40, right?
Yep.
Okay. Who's a pre-flop raiser? Yep. Uh-huh.
Hijack calls, the button folds,
Okay.
it comes back around to me. I raise to 125.
Wow, that's really small. That is really small. So LoJack is betting about a quarter the size of the pot here in a 160, which in theory isn't really that bad when it's super multi-way. But what I have seen is that people tend to bet the strength of their hand, and I would be very surprised here if this is like an overpair. And you might see queen bet this way, but you have a queen in your hand, so there's less chance of that happening, right? So when he bets 40, hijack calls. Pot is like 240. If you were to call, it's like 280. A pot size raise here would be to like 320 here. That would be pot. Like, you're making this very, very small. Now, would I raise here or not? I think if the LoJack had made a more standard bet and then someone called, I would probably just play this as a call. By the way, you have the ace of diamonds in your hand too when it's queen of diamonds, three of diamonds, nine of clubs. So that's good for you too. I can kind of see where you're going with this. This is just a pure value raise, but I would make it larger. Another thing of note here is that I don't normally see just top pair get raised off in multi-way scenarios from a theory perspective, but you will see it heads up, and you are incentivized to take the combo that has the ace of diamonds and actually do it heads up, just because it has future equity. But I don't mind the raise. I would just go larger.
Okay.
So you make it 125. Okay.
You would make it 250 to 300.
I think at least 200. I would probably go 250, 225 to 250, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
folds to the villain. Big blind folds. The villain calls.
All right. So big blind folds, LoJack calls, and hijack.
Folds.
Okay, so he folds.
So we're heads up.
Which is actually not a bad. I mean, that's not a bad thing for you because he probably had some bullshit draw. So you just go. You put in 250 on the flop here, right? So the pot's like 410.
I have 450.
Oh, because of the call. Right, because the hijack call. You're right. All right, so pot's 450. Yep.
Turn is the ace of clubs. So it gives me top two.
So the turn is the ace of clubs. Now that is a very interesting card for you in the sense that it's a little bit hidden, right? A little bit hidden there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I bet out. I lead out for a little over half the pot and bet 240.
So you go 125, and then you do follow it up with like a double. At least you're not doing the same bet. You're following it up here with a raise again. I mean, you're following it up with a good size bet, like at least 2x of what you bet again here. You bet 240. I'm just trying to do the math. I mean, you've got a lot of bunting behind here, right? Even after the 125 in the call. I mean, you got like 1,500 behind, so at least 3 pot size bets. You go 240 here on the turn, and your hand now really becomes very strong in the sense that, obviously you're. If he were to have kings, which is there's 6 combos of, you're ahead now. And yes, there are 3 combos of, aces and 1 combo of queens, but that helps. Also, if he's got the nut flush draw, he's obviously still going to continue on. Combo draws. You are behind to 9s here too. I don't know if the guy would just call your raise, though. With 9s, it's possible. I would probably tend to go 2/3 here to 300, but, I think 240 is fine. It's not crazy.
Well, it goes to him. He thinks for about right around a minute, and makes a very, very shaky raise to 725.
So LoJack goes to 725.
Yes.
By the way, I have to read a comment here in the live chat. Curtis King says, no, not Curtis King. Who was it in the live chat said? Steve Salino, pre-flop, this is a theoretical fold. Guys, come on. I don't know if that's okay. Yes, theoretical. You run a sim where you theoretically have 5 people call pre-flop to the race. But let's get back to the hand. That's just so funny. Let's get back to the hand here. So you bet 240. LoJack goes to 725, and I want to do some stack math here too, because we might get past the threshold where right off the bat this might be a raise all in or fold for you, right? Now, if you were to call the 725, the pot would be right around 2,000, And
Yeah.
you'd have what, like 700 left, something like that?
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah, the villain has the effective stack. I had him covered.
Okay, so there's 700 left. So if you call, there's the pot's like 2,000. He's got about 700 left, right? Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think at that point it is a raise all in or fold, right? It's 1/3 because like going back over the top, 27-7 to call. I mean, what are you going to do? Just call? You know what I mean? With him having 700 left. So let's just assume that this is a raise all in or fold. So, well, I mean, it's Texas, right? I think in this spot, it's actually worse for you to have the ace of diamonds in your hand, because if I started to go down the line of what could somebody be overplaying here that they think is like somehow the nuts, like maybe like ace king of diamonds. Of course, they can't have that, right? Because you have it in your hand. Right. And what are you losing to here? Again, once in a great while, he's going to have nines that was sort of slow played off with a raise. Excuse me, just a call of your raise. Maybe like one of the three combos. And then obviously he could have aces or queens, right? I mean, there's one. I think I had said earlier that there's three combos of aces. There's not, because you have ace queen. So that definitely, there's one combo, right, of queens and one combo of aces, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, two combos of higher sets, pocket nines, one of the three, I would say. So there's there's like three sort of combinatoric, like reduced down hands that make sense here. You can get coolered by those hands. What else is he raising here with on the turn?
Maybe ace queen.
Well, he could also have the same hand too, right? He could also have the same hand too. So if you can't come up with a bunch of other hands that you're ahead of here, like you could just run this in Poker Stove. It's weird though, because, we basically treat this as an all-in. When you're in an all-in or fold scenario, you'd kind of treat the low jack's raise as an all-in, right? Because you're not going to call. It's basically an all-in. So when you go 240, that's right around 700. And then, before he does anything, he's got like 1,400 left in his stack. So 240 into 450 is right around 700. Let's assume that he just moves all in for 1,400 total. This is really how you should look at this. So it's 2,100, 1,400 to call. I think is really what it is. I mean, well, it's 1,200 to call because I think you've put in the 240. So it's like 2,100, 1,200 to call. You're getting, it's definitely like more than a pot size raise. I'm doing the math right off the top of my head. You're probably getting a little bit less than 2 to 1, probably 1.7, 1.8 to 1. You probably need mid 30s, 36, 37% equity. And if you were to run this like in Cruncher and you give him all the aces, you give him all the queens, which is only two combos, you give him one of the three nines, and then you give him a bunch of ace queen and maybe one combo draw. Man, it's probably pretty close. I mean, I can try to pull it up. While I pull it up here, what did you think at the time? Did you think that he ever might have had like a combo draw here?
I was thinking about maybe Jack 10 of diamonds, but he had been playing extraordinarily tight for the last 3 hours I've been playing with him. And he wasn't a local. He was from Florida.
Okay.
He was driving through to the World Series.
He was like an old man coffee type or what?
No, he was a younger guy, probably in his mid-30s.
But he was just playing extremely tight. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he was playing extraordinarily tight. I think I had seen him play 4 hands in 3 hours.
By the way, so also too, if we're looking at this correct, the turn brings a backdoor club draw here as well, right? So there's a backdoor draw here too. So I'm going to give this guy aces, queens, ace queen suited, ace queen off, and then I'm going to give him one of the possible combos of 9-9. And then I'm just going to give him, first of all, I'm just going to give him that. And I want to see what your equity is here with aces, ace, queen, queens, and 1/3 of nines. What's your equity? Your equity is 30%. That's interesting. That's actually a lot more than I thought. Because the reason why I wanted to do that is because sometimes people undervalue how often and how many combos the same hand is into this equation. So if there's only one combo of aces and one combo of queens, and we're only giving him one combo of nines, how many other combos of ace queen are there? Well, we have an ace and a queen in our hand, which means that there's 2 remaining. So there's 4, right? I think that there's 4 combos of ace queen remaining if you have ace queen here. So That in itself, where you've got, just 50% equity, is done out with the rest of those other equity hands. And you have equity against 9-9 and queen, some equity. So this doesn't actually surprise me, because you probably have like 10% equity against like aces, queens, and nines, something maybe somewhere around there. So if you sort of average that out, 50 and 10, you get 30. And you only need 35 or 36. Now, if I were to happen to throw in like one combo of like jack 10 of clubs here, just one draw combo, you go up to like 35%. Oh man, I mean, this kind of sucks, and it's crazy because it's Texas, but I could see folding here if giving him one combo draw only moves you up to 35%. I think it's worse though with the ace queen of diamonds, and you're truly are in an all-in raise or fold scenario. But in a typical Texas game, I think I would just go with this here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just took into account the player profile and the fact that when he tried to raise, he dumped his chips like 3 times. He was shaking so bad.
Yeah.
I took like 2 or 3 minutes, and I ended up folding face up.
Okay.
He folded face down, but I caught him about an hour after, and he was still pissed off that I had folded because he had queen.
He said he had queen.
Yeah, that's what he said he had.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like I said, there's one of each left. So, but I don't know how often a guy is like calling your check raise, and then it's not like you put a little stop bet on the turn. You made a nice size bet on the turn after your check raise, and then just jams with jack 10 of diamonds or jack 10 of clubs here. Although your raise size on the flop though is small, so that could work into it here too. But pretty close one. But I appreciate the call. Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, and check out the coupon code in the description to try out the Crush Live Poker training site for free.